Today we're going to talk about our favorite music streamers. We're talking about hi-fi stereo streamers without built-in amplification. These are component or source streamers that mostly connect to your hi-fi system like a CD player, tape deck, or turntable would, with an analog stereo RCA or balanced XLR output to your amp. Any models with an analog output have a built-in DAC. Let's clarify why that's important. A digital to analog converter, a DAC, is what transforms the ones and zeros that make up digital music files into analog music. If you're just getting into it, it can be confusing because computers, smartphones, TVs, and all sorts of components have built-in DACs that you don't hear much about. When you get into streamers and higher-end receivers and integrated amps with built-in DACs, things get a little more competitive. Companies put information about which DAC chip they're using front and center. For instance, Bluesound's current Node lineup all use the ESS Sabre 9039Q2M DAC chip, which my colleagues and our customers have agreed has a remarkably nice sound. A lot of streamers also have digital outputs like optical and coaxial. A few, like HiFi Rose's RS150, only have digital outputs and require an outboard DAC, which includes any receiver or amp with compatible digital inputs. But all the streamers in our list of favorites have both analog and digital outputs. I've got one amp in my home that has digital and analog inputs, which means it has a built-in DAC. Whenever I'm testing a streamer, I try it with both a digital and analog connection to that amp. Sometimes it's obvious which DAC sounds better, the one in the streamer or the one in the amp. Other times, you can barely tell a difference. So what else adds to a streamer's value? Internal components and circuit design make a difference in the way things sound and influence how much they cost. As my dad used to say, it costs more because it's better. There are always exceptions, but a lot of the time that's true. There's also connectivity. First things first, streaming capabilities. You'll want to make sure the streamer you buy supports the streaming service you use. If you want to stream from a network-attached storage drive, or if you want to be able to directly connect a computer or USB drive to play music, make sure your streamer has the right inputs. A lot of streamers support Apple AirPlay, Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, Google Cast, Roon, and so on. So check to make sure you can stream the way you want to stream. Some, like the Sonos and Bluesound choices in our list, support proprietary wireless multi-room streaming systems that let you control multiple players with a user-friendly app. These are pretty powerful apps. You can group all the players together and play the same music throughout your house. Too loud in one room? You can control the volume independently. You can even play different music in different rooms. I appreciate a good proprietary control app, whether it's for a multi-room system or just for a standalone streamer, even though it means adding another app to my life when I use them. Once you figure out how things work, the good ones actually make control better, faster, and simpler. And you don't find yourself having to repair with your player or players every time you start a new listening session. Most of these streamers have Bluetooth, and some of them have two-way Bluetooth that lets you stream to a pair of compatible headphones for managing volume, like late-night listening. Bluetooth can't rival Wi-Fi or Ethernet for sound quality, but it can sound remarkably good, and since almost everyone knows how to use it, it comes in handy a lot at my house. All these streamers have an analog stereo RCA output and at least one digital output for connecting to your amp. Higher-end streamers tend to have more and better connections, like balanced analog stereo XLR output for the cleanest, strongest audio signal, HDMI eARC for seamless TV integration, and a USB output for getting the maximum resolution for when you connect to an external DAC. Other connections to look for include USB input for a flash drive loaded with music files, digital and analog stereo inputs for connecting sources. You might want digital outputs to connect to an outboard DAC or amp with digital inputs, and some models have an output for a powered subwoofer, if you want more bass in your sound system. If you want to simplify your control options, look for an IR trigger input and output that let you set up your streamer to turn off and on when you power up your amp. And all of our picks here use a detachable power cord. Higher-end models use a heavier 3-prong IEC power cord. The manual controls and display on a streamer can make a big difference in how you interact with it. Some are very minimal in this respect. Some have full-color screens that show album art and track info. Some companies, like the audiophile brand HiFi Rose, use an intuitive app-based touchscreen interface that will feel familiar to anyone who uses a smartphone or tablet. Our list contains solid choices for several different listening setups. We picked them based on experience and customer satisfaction, so let's start with our best value streamer, the Bluesound NODE NANO. This compact streamer makes it easy and affordable to add streaming to your hi-fi system. It doesn't take up a lot of space and delivers great sound thanks to audiophile grade circuitry that uses an ES9039Q2M ESS Sabre DAC. It works with Apple AirPlay 2, Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, Roon, and Bluetooth. The powerful and user-friendly BlueOS control app lets you add streaming services like Qobuz and Pandora, play internet radio, and more. BlueOS also lets you expand into a multi-room high-res streaming system. Our customers have consistently commented on the simplicity, reasonable price, and phenomenal sound quality. Our best CD player streamer, the Marantz SACD 30N. Marantz components tend to sound fantastic, lots of detail and lots of substance. This multi-talented streamer is made in Japan at Marantz's storied Shirokawa facility and has a hefty 30-pound plus build. This thing can do a lot. It's a top-notch streamer with the HIOS multi-room platform built in. It also plays the highest quality CDs available, Super Audio CDs or SACDs, as well as pretty much any other kind of CD, including home-burned ones with support for a wide range of formats. As far as streaming services, it supports Napster, Pandora, and more. It also works with Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, AirPlay 2, Roon, and Bluetooth. Like a lot of streamers, it can function as a preamp with coaxial and optical digital inputs, plus USB Type A and B ports for connecting storage drives or a computer. This one has separate fixed and variable stereo RCA outputs for connecting to an integrated amp or receiver or directly to a power amp. I'm a fan of direct connection to a power amp, especially when the streamer preamp sounds as brilliant as this one. The best audiophile streamer, Cambridge Audio CXN100. Customer and employee favorite around here because of its sweet, engaging sound and its audiophile features like the balanced analog stereo XLR output. That gives you a super clean, noise-free connection to compatible high-performance amps and preamps. It sits at a pretty sweet price point as well, given the audiophile features. You can squeeze the maximum 32-bit 768 kHz resolution out of its ESS Sabre 32 ES9028 Q2M reference DAC when you play high-res files from a drive or computer connected to its USB A and B inputs. I've had nothing but positive experience with Cambridge's Stream Magic app, and my colleagues and our customers have mostly concurred. It lets you access streaming services like Qobuz, Deezer, and internet radio, and more. You can also access music files on a network-attached storage drives or an SSD or flash drive connected to the USB-A port. I like that you can also access those drives right from the front panel knobs and see their contents on the large full-color display. It also works with Apple AirPlay 2, Google Cast, Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, Roon, and Bluetooth. The best high-res multi-room streamer, the Bluesound NODE ICON. This relatively new streamer has already made a lot of our customers happy. Like the Cambridge CXN100, it's got analog stereo balanced XLR for sending a super clean signal to your amp. It also has a full color display that shows you what's playing, at what resolution, and other info, although you can't search through attached media from the front panel controls. Unlike the CXN100, it has HDMI eARC port that lets you connect your TV as a source. And of course, it lets you expand into wireless multi-room sound audio if you've got or plan on getting other BlueOS players. Our customers have made the NODE ICON very popular in a very short time. It packs a ton of features into a relatively compact chassis at a price point that is definitely one of the keys to its success. The main ingredient, though, is definitely the top-notch sound quality, which is built on the same ESS Sabre ES9039 Q2M DAC chipset used in the NODE NANO. The ICON uses two of them in dual mono configuration for super smooth and precise sound. The best for Sonos users, the Sonos Port. Sonos pioneered wireless multi-room audio. If you're one of the millions of people who use or want to use Sonos to control music throughout your house, the super compact port gives you a simple way to integrate an existing hi-fi system. Just use either the analog stereo RCA or optical digital output to connect to an audio input on your amp or receiver, and you're good to go. Sonos supports a bunch of streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Tidal, and more. It also works with Apple AirPlay 2, and it works with both the Sonos S2 and S1 operating systems. Another cool thing is that it has an analog RCA input that lets you connect a source like a CD player or even a turntable with a phono preamp. So it gives you a way to bring the tactile world of vinyl or CDs into the wireless realm. The best user interface in a premium streamer, the HiFi Rose RS151. This last one is one of my favorites because the way you play music on it makes me happy. I've talked about why I'm a fan of control apps for streamers, and the Rose Connect Premium app is one of the better ones I've used, but I'm talking about its touchscreen. It works just like a smartphone or tablet, but with its apps laid out across the full width of the streamer. I use both Qobuz and Tidal, and the apps work just like they do on my phone, except bigger. If I want to search, it's really easy to type on the screen. If I want to look through my long list of favorite albums, it's almost like browsing through records or flipping through titles in a jukebox. When I had the RS151 at home for a couple weeks for testing, I used the touchscreen to play music rather than my phone about 80% of the time, and anyone else who wants to use it can jump right in without downloading an app at all. I think that's great, and I wanted to keep it. The RS151 is also a 4K video streamer. It's got the Rose Tube app, which is basically a very large collection of commercial-free YouTube music and video content. You can play it on the screen or to a TV or monitor connected to the HDMI output on the RS151. This might sound like a niche thing, but if you're anything like me and like to go back and see live footage of favorite bands, bands you missed, bands you never knew about until you stumbled on them, this could be your entertainment a few nights a week. You can also stream video from a USB-A connected drive or from an SSD if you add one to the enclosed bay built into the unit. This is a premium streamer, and the price reflects that, but the sound quality is absolutely top tier, and the way it works might change the way you think about streaming music. By using technology to make that interaction between you and the sound system feel more physical, like what I and maybe you grew up with, and what I think a lot of modern listeners might gravitate towards, given the option. If you have questions about any of these streamers or want to hear about other options for making hi-fi streaming part of your sound system, get in touch with us here at Crutchfield.